Booktube. My name is Gabriella and my channel's name is Books Over Adulting because really anything over adulting. I wanted to come back with my second video as a Booktube TBR and my current reads so that you guys could kind of know what I'm currently reading and what I want to be reading before the end of the year. We will start off with my current reads, and the first book that I'm currently reading is actually what inspired one of my favorite movies, and for whatever reason I had no idea that this was based off of a book. I don't know how, because in the movie it's actually a grandfather reading the book to his grandson, and the grandson like constantly interjects in the storyline, and that book is The Princess Bride. I am a little over halfway done with this book. This book is amazing. It's just as funny. The humor is just as amazing as the movie. Goodreads gives it a 5.25 stars. It is classified as young adult. So far, I would give the book a 5-star. Just the humor is just the same. If you've seen the movie, the book is even better because you get to figure out what kind of sparked the war between Gilder and I forget what the other place is called, but you get to see where that comes from. You get to figure out why Prince Humperdinck is such a good tracker, and they don't show that in the movie. And there's just a ton of elements that, I mean, it's a huge book, but it's a really, really great book. Super funny. William Golding is hilarious. His thoughts on it and little interjections are funny, and all of his interjections are done in italics, so if you don't want to read them, you don't have to. You can kind of just skip over them, but they're hilarious, and I would totally recommend that too. So I'm definitely recommending this book so far. I hope the ending is just as good and everything that I hope it would be. Goodreads listed that this book was about fencing, fighting, true love, strong hate, harsh revenge, few giants, lots of good men, lots of bad men, 5 to 6 beautiful women, death, lies, truth, and miracles. And it is about that and so much more. If you're into fairy tales, definitely pick up the Princess Bride book. And especially if you've seen the movie, this will blow your mind with all of the added information. Okay, the next book that I am currently reading, I am almost finished with. I have just a small amount left. And this is The First Grave on the Right. This one is actually an adult book, I do believe, and Goodreads rates it a 4.07, and so far I'm giving it a 4. This was actually recommended to me by my mother, who never reads any kind of like fantasy hardly at all, and so I was really kind of surprised, but upon picking up this book, it was so funny. The humor in this book is amazing. She's just really quippy and intelligent, and she's a Grim Reaper. You can see her little scythe there and her skull flip-flops, but it's a really great book. There's kind of 2 interweaving plot lines, and initially I was just hooked by the first plot line, which is kind of she solves crimes with the help of her uncle, who is on the police force, and then that goes into like an even deeper plot line that is way from her past, and so that keeps you on your toes. So you're like never, sometimes when it has like interweaving plot lines, you're like, oh, just get back to this. Like, I just want to know what happens with this. With this one, you're like, I just want to know what happens with both. Goodreads says about it that it has scorching hot tension and high octane humor. It is paranormal with Grim Reaper, but I would definitely recommend this book. The back says, this whole Grim Reaper thing should have come with a manual or a diagram of some kind. A flowchart would have been nice, which, I mean, even just that is pretty funny. And again, I haven't finished that one, so the 4-star rating is just where I'm at now. The last book that I'm reading, actually, I heard about so much on Booktube, and there was so much kind of build up around it that I was afraid to pick it up for so long. I didn't pick up this book, and I just waited. Maybe I'm the only one, but I typically get really nervous when there's a lot of build up around a book. I feel like a lot of the times when I read it, then I'm disappointed. This one was not the case. I absolutely loved it. I understand why everyone's talking about it now. I'm on the bandwagon. This book is truly amazing. It has fully kept my attention. I am excited to continue on in the series as well as read some of the other authors' books. And that book is the Throne of Glass series. I know I'm so late jumping on this bandwagon, but Goodreads rates this a 4.24, and so far I am giving it a 4. And if you don't know what this book is about, where have you been? I'm just kidding. It's about an assassin, and she's kind of competing in a competition against other assassins to become the royal assassin and eventually gain her freedom. She was in kind of an imprisonment camp for her misdeeds or wrongdoings. They brought her out of this, and they're like, hey, if you win this competition and then you be the royal assassin for so long, then you can gain your freedom back. And she actually, I'm not going to say that. That's a spoiler. But this book is great. I highly recommend it, and I'm so sad that I didn't jump on this bandwagon sooner. I should have. Okay, so the next stack of books that I have here are the books that I want to read. Again, the other ones are my current reads. I haven't finished any of them yet. I did finish the selection series by, I do believe, Kira Cass. I'll put a picture of it somewhere over here. And I didn't particularly enjoy that one. That is the first series that I finished in November. But these are the books that I really want to read before the end of December. The first book is actually the first book in this series. I don't have it yet. I bought this one and then had to order the first book in the series. The first book in the series is called Rebel Belle, and I will put a picture of it up so you're not just looking at the second book in the series. But Goodreads gives this book a 3.9. It is a young adult, and it's about a paladin. She has to protect this guy that she's not particularly fond of, and from the description, I kind of get the hint that maybe he might become a future love interest. Not sure. But they say it's a lot of snappy banter, and it obviously takes place in the South, which I'm a huge fan of. So I'm really excited to pick up the first one in this series and then continue on with the second one, hopefully. I do think that I will enjoy this one. I'm excited to pick it up. The next book that I wanted to read, I already talked about the first book in the series, so you kind of already know generally what it's about. That's The Second Grave on the Left. This is the second book in the First Grave on the Right series. I definitely will be continuing on with the series. This series is amazing. If you are one of those people who read solely young adult and you're looking for that book to kind of break into reading adult paranormal fantasy, definitely give the first book in the series a shot. It is amazing and it will keep you hooked, and it's so funny. That was actually the book I got caught reading at a party, and my boyfriend told me I was socially unacceptable. So the next book is one that I just picked up, and it is Stalking Jack the Ripper. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm kind of obsessed with serial killers and the psychology behind that. I don't idolize them by any means, but I always am intrigued by what pushes a person to the point that they could take another human life. And that's kind of what leads into me purchasing this book here. It's a historical fiction novel, so if you're looking to get into more historical fiction novels, this one might be for you. Goodreads rates it a 3.99. It is a young adult. The main character in this book has a secret life studying forensic medicine. Somehow Jack the Ripper's victims come across the table, and so she kind of gets introduced to him that way. So she's drawn into the investigation of Jack the Ripper. The back says, "He murdered women in cold blood. He terrorized an entire city. He taunted those of us who hunted him down. But despite all these horrors, in the end, I could not deny it. I was the girl who loved the Ripper." So, I'm definitely intrigued. I definitely want to start reading this one. It's said to be really good. I am really, really excited to pick this one up. This is probably the one I am most excited to read. Okay, so the next book in this series I picked up because I was a fan of the House of Night series when I was in high school, and I found out that she had a new series out, and it's a huge book, but it is Moon Chosen by PC Cast. And Goodreads gives this a 3.86 stars. It is a young adult. It talks about a whole new kind of world, kind of in a post-apocalyptic. Wow, words are hard today. All I can get out of it is that she's an Earthwalker and she has healing powers, and she has to be like sent on this quest before she can, I don't know, reach righteousness. Maybe I don't know. We'll find out together. We will read this book. Alright, so the last book in my TBR is actually a graphic novel. And so I kind of mentioned this one briefly before. I have picked up the first 3 this series, and that is The Wicked and the Divine. Goodreads rates this 3.91. It's basically about 12 gods incarnated as humans for 2 years, and I guess they're kind of like pop stars. I'm really excited to pick this one up. I've kind of just flipped through it, and the artwork is stunning, and that's a huge selling point for me. Plus, I've heard other booktubers talk about it and they really liked it, so I'm really excited to pick it up. If you have any other recommendation for graphic novels for me, please leave them down below in the comment section. I am always looking for new comic books or graphic novels to read. I have literally no one in my life who reads them, so I have no one to get recommendations from except for other booktubers, and I haven't found a lot of booktubers that cover these. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all of the support. The comments on my last video were amazing. I am so grateful to be a part of this amazing community that is just so welcoming and so friendly. So thank you so much for watching. If you want, hit the like button or subscribe.